Greetings, Reader Memorial Church family and friends. This is Reverend Tara Gibbs with what is for now our final session or episode for Conversations on Coping. We're so grateful that so many of you have supported this endeavor, that you've given us great feedback on how these conversations have helped you. And we're just so thankful that God has placed so many awesome experts and local community leaders in our church family and in our community that we can speak with and get the information we need to know in these interesting times. So we thought it's August now, we're kind of rounding out an interesting summer. Kids are getting ready to go back to school. We needed to bring in an expert again to let us know what in the world is going on with these schools. How can we prepare? So we have none other than Principal Lydia Ferguson, who's joining us again to help you cope with sending your child back to school. Welcome, Principal Ferguson. How are you today?
Good afternoon. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me again.
All right. So for those who may not be familiar with you and your expertise, can you just give us another introduction on who you are, please?
Sure. So my name is Lydia Ferguson, and I am the principal of Newell Elementary in Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools. And this is my 18th year in education, my 6th year as a principal.
Excellent. Thank you for that. So let's get right into what people I know are anxiously waiting for explanations and some help. A lot has changed, plans A, B, C, D, and all this. Can you just tell us, as of today, we're recording on August the 12th, what is CMS, Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools, what is the kind of overall plan that is in place as of today?
So yes, you're absolutely right. A lot has changed and there have been several plans. Information is always fluid as we are trying to make decisions for what's best for our students' health in relation to current data. So while a lot has changed, a lot has remained the same, and that is we still find ourselves in this place of being our child's teacher. And so although there was an original plan to have in-person school on a rotation, in lieu of recent data, CMS and most schools systems for that matter will begin the school year with remote learning. So what that means is no students will show up to the buildings on August 17th, which is when school starts. And so just to clarify, there are a couple of options that parents had that still may pose a little bit of confusion. So as I said, on the 17th, no one will come to the physical brick and mortar building. However, everyone is in what we call Plan C. And Plan C is full remote for everyone. Keep in mind, if you were a parent who chose the full remote option for your child, even if the data changes and CMS decides to go back to school, if your child was registered for the full remote option, he or she will not go back to school. And the only way that you can change that is to finish that for the semester and then reach out to your child's teacher that you want to go back. And so when and if we come back to the brick and mortar, it won't be at full capacity. Students will come on a rotation, which will allow us to social distance and provide a safer environment for students. And so that's important to know where your child falls into that rotation. Another reason you need to know if your child is on the A, B, C, or D rotation, A, B, and C referring to what week they would come, is because of lunch. So if you are a parent who will partake in lunch, because even though we are not in the building, your child is still able to go to a school site for lunch. And so you'll need to know what day you need to go to the school to get your child's lunch. And we're going to post that information on our church website. So if your child is rotation B, they would go to school on a specific day to get their lunch. Or if you don't have transportation, thankfully we're able to employ our bus drivers and they will actually deliver lunch to your child's bus stop. Now, one of the important things to know is that in order to do that, you have to pre-order. So this is very different than the first go round. Thankfully, we were able to work out some of the bugs this time, whereas before we kind of had to pivot But now you have to pre-order meals in a bundle fashion. So between the 17th and the 31st, all schools, or the schools that were selected, I believe they're 40, you'll be able to go to the school to get the lunches every day. But after the 31st, all parents would have to sign up for what's called a PayPAMS account, and that is how you would pre-order your bundle lunch for your child. One of the things to think about prior to going to school is how you're going to prepare your child either for this virtual world or when we go back. Certainly when we go back to the building, you'll want to prepare your child for what all the adults will look like wearing masks. There will be signage, and students will be expected to social distance. So that might be another conversation if we decide to go back. But virtually, there are certainly some things that you can do to get your child ready for the first day of school. And first and foremost is providing access. So even if you have your own personal device, I recommend that parents use the device for the school, because there's certain firewalls and certain programs that will automatically be downloaded. And so most schools will have a technology distribution day. And so it's important to make sure that you are communicating with your child's school in order to get the technology that your student needs. In addition to that, it's important to know that all schools, K through 12, and this is certainly a change, will be using a platform called Canvas. And Canvas is a learning management system that allows teachers, administrators, and support staff to post in one central place. So yay, you won't have to click around in many different places for information. I'll be able to push out messages to families and to students in one location. If you are concerned about what is Canvas, how do I log on? Again, go to the CMS website. There are parent sessions that will be held on social media, as well as certain schools have different staff that would be able to help you, and always your child's teacher would be a great resource if you need help with that. I feel like I'm talking a lot, but there's so much to say. You want me to keep going?
Whatever you have to give us, please. You've already started to touch on that next question I had anyway about that preparation piece. What is it that parents, again, they bring in so much information that they don't even, they're now frozen. They don't know what to do. So what else do you have in terms of preparation? What can parents be doing or focusing on during this time?
So I think it's important that parents, while I know that this is a lot of stress for all of us, to remain positive for our kids, to know that this is an adaptive skill that they will need. Often I'm talking to parents and kids, and they want to know that they're going to be okay. And so while it might not be ideal, I think it's important for parents to articulate in front of their kids that, being home is not a stressor for the parent. It's just one of the responsibilities that we have. So kids aren't going into the environment stressed about what's happening that they really don't have any control over. So you definitely want to prepare the physical environment for your child, and that would be posting the schedule because there are certain synchronous and asynchronous times, synchronous being face-to-face or positive two-way communication with the teacher, and asynchronous where students are working independently. And so you want to make sure that your child knows when to log in, because there's a certain snapshot of time that teachers have to work with students, and then when they're expected to do those activities independently. What's important and what's fun is that we've tried to build in time for recess and for lunch. And so we are cognizant of screen time, and we definitely want kids to get some activity. So if your family schedule would allow it, it's great to have a full day mapped out so students know what's expected of them throughout the day. Lastly, I think to prepare before the actual day of logging on is to make sure that if you downloaded all of the apps and that you've worked out any bugs that might prohibit you from logging on time. And what's different this go round is the expectation for attendance and engagement is a little bit more rigorous, because while we know that we're not able to return to the building, we're very concerned about just learning loss. And when possible, and I know families have different situations, we really want to make sure that kids and families hold themselves accountable for logging on, and that we're not just discounting those parents that can and say, well, you didn't log in, oh well. We really want to make sure that kids and families are engaging. So I encourage you to really look at the CMS attendance policy, because if kids aren't logging in this time, they will be counted absent. Now, there's always empathy for parents that can't. And like me, Layla might have to log in a little bit later, but I will communicate that to her teacher. There are certain hardships and different accommodations that you can be given as a parent if you find that you can't log in. If work is submitted and you are taking opportunities to talk to your teacher, then the school will definitely work with you if you have a hardship.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, that's so much good information. I heard even in there that there is an important distinction between the remote learning plan and also the remote learning option that parents opted into, the opportunities for families to still receive their lunch, to make sure their children are fed, communicating with parents and teachers, about attendance. So excellent information there. Thank you so, so much. We're encouraging everyone who's watching to stick around. On the end of this video, we're going to include some links, some resources that Principal Ferguson has provided, and also CMS, that we can make sure parents feel empowered and encouraged. So thank you so much again. And I always ask that final piece of advice or information that you would just share with our parents and guardians who are feeling that anxiousness, or are feeling a little worried or ill-prepared. What would you say to those parents?
I think it's important to model adaptive skills right now for kids. There's nothing that students have control over, and they are often left out of the equation of talking about how this impacts them. Because as parents, we're always talking about, the child care and who's going to help log on, but kids are feeling a certain amount of loss as well. So I definitely encourage families to stay on top of kids' social and emotional well-being. Also, whatever routine you can provide your student the first day of school, get up, eat your breakfast, get dressed. I know you're not going anywhere, but it certainly helps kids get into the routine of knowing that what's before them is important. And lastly, this is just comedy. Parents, answer the phones. We are calling you. If you see an unknown number, a lot of teachers have set up Google numbers so that they can call and reach many families. So because we're doing everything remotely now, teachers and schools are really pushing out information and trying to call parents and set up different platforms. And so I would just say, answer the phone. It's us calling.
Excellent, excellent. So you heard it here, folks. Answer those phones. Your teachers, the administration, the staff, they're trying to reach you and your student to check in, to stay in constant communication. So please, please answer those phones. And of course, as always, Reader Memorial Baptist Church, we are doing the best that we can to stay connected, to help, to be a resource. So if you're watching and you just don't know what to do, you need to reach out, please don't hesitate to let us know. We will help serve you the best way we can. Principal Ferguson, thank you again so much for just kind of breaking that information down. I don't even have a child in the school system, but I feel much more positive and encouraged and excited about this school year. It's different, but that doesn't mean that it's still not going to be beneficial and something amazing for our young people. So thank you as always. Thank you to all of our supporters and contributors and those who've been just supporting us in prayer and donations. We love you and God bless you.